This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with audience, and sell anything from products to content to time. All in one place, all on your terms. I seem to have accidentally started growing out both my beard and my hair. Let's see how long this lasts. Probably not very long. Hey Spuds, how's it going? It's Jamie. Welcome back to another video. I'm very glad to have you here. Hope you're doing good. Thank you for joining me. I completely forgot my bit about whether this is your first video or not, but hello, welcome in. Today, we're going to be looking at some LGBT plus themed Am I the A-hole stories from the subreddit Am I the A-hole. If you do like this kind of content, then you should definitely go check out my wife and I's podcast, 1-800-DRAMA, where we look at lots of stories like this, and we have our own little subreddit for the podcast if you want to submit your own story, so go have a look there. But today I'm doing it on my own and specifically looking at LGBT plus themed ones. Will I be the arsehole? A will I be? Interesting. A Willoughby. Have you seen the movie The Willoughbys? It's really good. Anyway, will I be the arsehole if I had the same legal name as a baby? I mean, just based on the title, I'm sure many people have the same legal name as a baby. Let's see where this goes. Will I be the arsehole if I kept my chosen name and continued going by it, though a baby was born with the same first and last name? I don't see why you would be, but let's read the background. As background context, I'm an 18-year-old trans man and have been out for years. I've been known to be an openly out trans man throughout high school, and some of my family knows this as well. Recently, I found out that a baby was born about a year or two ago, and they just so happened to pick the same first name that I did. To be fair, it is a prevalent men's name. How would you even know that this were going to happen? And also, the people who named their baby that, if they don't know that you're trans and you go by this chosen name, how were they to know? And it's also a common man's name, so why is there a problem? My chosen name was picked in 2020 and the baby was born in 2024, so there is quite a few years where I did not know the existence of my new cousin. Oh, that is quite a few years. I have not changed my name legally yet, but when I do, there will be two people in the family with the same first and last name. Some members of my family have come to me and made jabs about the fact of, oh, well, that's the baby's name, you know? It's also your name, as if I weren't the one who chose the name before the baby was born. The situation is being treated like I plagiarized the name of my newborn first cousin, and I'm not sure if I'm the one in the wrong. Definitely not. How can you plagiarize a name, first and foremost, particularly a common name? Secondly, how can you plagiarize a name from a baby who was born after you started going by that name? If anything, the baby plagiarized it from you. No, you are not in the wrong for keeping the name that you have gone by for many years, more years than this baby has been around. My father has specifically stated the fact that he believes it's wrong to go through with changing my name, but I directly disagree with him on the matter. It feels as if he is dismissing my emotions and my personal experience for the sake of not confusing people in my family. It must be so common for people within a family to have similar or the same names. Like, what about all the fathers who name their sons after them? Like, nobody has ever said that's confusing. This just feels like an excuse for transphobia. I don't plan on changing my name, and the family still does not use my chosen name. I'm not sure they ever will. That strengthens my feeling that this is coming from a transphobic place, but it's a growing problem where I'm being treated like I'm the one in the wrong. Will I be the arsehole if I kept my chosen name and didn't change it to accommodate the new baby? Not at all. Not at all. The baby's not an arsehole, you're not an arsehole. I don't know what the parents of the baby are like, but in terms of like the name choosing, it sounds like they would have chosen that without knowing that that was your chosen name. But at the end of the day, it's really common for people within families to have the same names, like the number of parents who will name their child after themselves. I don't really see why this would be a problem, other than people are trying to use it as an excuse to force you into changing your name, maybe even reverting to your dead name. They're trying to be transphobic. That is just my gut feeling. You are definitely not the a-hole. You will not be the a-hole by sticking with your name. I feel like the only reason this is even a conversation is because of anti-trans feelings from some family members, which is really sucky. Let's have a quick look at what other people said, but honestly, that's all I have to say on the matter. I don't see why it's such a problem to them, other than transphobia. That must be where it's coming from. Not the arsehole. It used to be super common for cousins to have the same name. In some cultures, it is still common. People are giving you grief because family members often feel some kind of way about people changing their name. Your family are just using the baby's name to amp up the anti-name change feelings they already had. Ignore them. I totally agree with this. Like, the fact that you changed your name in 2020, and we're now in 2025. I'm not sure when this post was written, but it was at least 2024, right? The fact that there were still some family members who were not using your correct nickname says a lot about them, not OP. Not the arsehole. Having cousins with the same name is just not in the same vicinity as weird, and the age gap means you won't ever be mixed up with each other, so it won't even be confusing. Most likely your family is using the shared name as a cover for being transphobic, which is why they are being the arsehole. I'm so sorry. However, depending on how much family gathering you all do, long term you may want to have a nickname based solution prepared for when you are sharing space with your cousin, otherwise you probably will end up sometimes being referred to by default as Big Jehoshaphat and Little Jehoshaphat, which may or may not be to your liking. I think that's cute. If I had a little cousin who was also called Jamie and I was Big Jamie and they were Little Jamie, that would be so adorable. Or like we would just go by maybe by a middle name in certain situations if it got too confusing and everybody was happy with that. And by everybody I mean basically the person who needs to be called the name. It's their decision ultimately. I am glad the comments are sensible. Among my cousins there are 2 Johns, 2 Dans and 2 Pats. Everybody knows who is who and nobody is upset about it. How does your family cope with sons being named after their fathers? I mean, are they going to tell Junior, oh, that's the adult's name, you know? You give yourself the name that you chose that you feel fits you. If you want to differentiate yourself, you can play with the spelling or choose a different middle name, but that's your prerogative and your decision, not theirs. This is so correct. You've chosen your name. That is your name. It is totally up to you what name you go by. Done. They just need to deal with it. And if they don't deal with it, you don't need to deal with their shit. They're just giving you another example of their transphobia, not the arsehole. Yes. I wanted to take this moment to tell you a little story of my own. And I want you to tell me who you think the arsehole was. So the other week, Shabra and I were at the beach and it was a nice day and we were like, hey, let's get an ice cream. So we went and got an ice cream and then we were walking along, eating our ice cream. Shabra had hers in a little tub. I had a classic Mr. Whippy. I was so happy with it. I'd eaten my flake. I was licking the ice cream. I was about 2/3 of the way through and I literally had it in my mouth mid-lick and I felt this impact and my ice cream was gone. A seagull stole my ice cream out of my mouth. Right out of my mouth. What the hell? How did that even I was shook. There were gasps on the beach around me. Who was the arsehole? Because I think it was the seagull. Seagull did not pay for the ice cream and they did not even ask me if I would share it with them. They just took it. Inspired by recent events with said seagull and the closing down of my Pride Pasta restaurant, I'm very pleased to tell you that my brand new and definitely real and absolutely not made up genuine business is going to be protecting others from the same fate that me and my ice cream suffered. I will personally dress up as a packet of chips or French fries if you're American and walk alongside you at the beach or anywhere else there might be seagulls who will steal your food as a decoy to make sure that you and your food are safe from the seagulls. Fries before flies, am I right? Get it? Because seagulls fly. Yeah. There are also premium options where for a little bit extra I'll dress up as a sausage roll or every bird's favourite, sushi. And this idea would not have been able to come true without the help of Squarespace. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. The all-in-one website platform full of glorious features. Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools will leave you soaring, letting anyone build a unique website that matches your brand, business or any idea that you might have. You can use Squarespace's Blueprint AI, the AI-enhanced website builder, to help you create a fully customized website quickly and easily. And when you're running a very real and not at all made up seagull deterrent business, letting people be able to book you in as a food decoy is absolutely crucial. And Squarespace's built-in scheduling tools allow me to do this. They also offer unbeachleavably amazing email marketing tools, online payments, and on-brand invoicing, helping you offer whatever service you want and getting paid on time. Finally, Squarespace also allows me to showcase all of my food decoy costumes and how effective they are. The asset library means I can upload, organize, and access all of my food decoy and seagull deterring content from one place. You'll be able to manage all of your delicious files from one central hub and use them across the Squarespace platform. Shabra and I's actual website was super easy and fun to make and not going anywhere, unlike my ice cream apparently. Squarespace gave us the freedom to get creative, link our social media platforms, and show off our podcast 1-800-DRAMA. To get started yourself, go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, seize the day and head to squarespace.com/Jammidodger to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much for listening. The link is in the description box that you should definitely go click. And now let's get back to the arsehole stories. Yay! Am I the arsehole for refusing to pay my gay son's tuition after he came out to his family? Really depends on why, and if him being gay has anything to do with it. My 40F son, 19M, came out to my husband, 40M, and I when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ+ community, and we're both proud of our son for coming out. Okay, that has left left me slightly confused with the title. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. Oh, okay. She is wealthy, and my children were told from a young age that college would be paid for as long as they attended a private Christian or Catholic school. Oh, God. I have a feeling I can see where this is going, but let's just hold off on the full judgment. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. Does she now? How naive is grandma? I don't agree with this and have argued my children getting the best education possible, regardless of the school's religious affiliation, should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college one state over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years opposed to 4. He's currently just began year 2, which has already been paid for. Okay, I'm somewhat confused by that, but as far as I'm aware, he is at a Christian college in his second year that's already been paid for, so he'll have 1 year left that needs to be paid for afterwards. So he's already partway through this course. Okay, during Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college and thought he could trust him. Oh no. He seemed supportive according to my son, but he told his mum and dad, and my husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law, and outed my son to her. No. She is livid and called me and informed me she will not be making any future payments towards his tuition, and told me to relay the message to him as she will no longer be speaking to him. This poor kid. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I don't like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children, 15 and 13, get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me waiting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. I'm very on the fence with this because the kid clearly thought he could trust a cousin, like a peer the same age or similar age probably, but clearly couldn't, and is partway through his course and has just had that ripped out from under him. If his parents can't pay, that's not their fault. It's just such a horrible situation. And it's horrible as well to tell your kid to not come out, and also horrible to maintain contact with somebody that you want to go no contact with. Like, if their youngest kid is 13, and in America, if most college courses are 4 years and they do everything at like the typical age, so they start college at 18, they'd finish at 22, which means they've got at least another 9 years of having to deal with this bigot. Oh my God. My son is obviously devastated. He both will not have his final year of college paid for next year, and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an arsehole for prioritizing to a remodel over his education. We've explained to him our kitchen is falling apart and it's much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition. So even if we postponed it, we would still be short, as his private school is very expensive. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Am I the arsehole for not using our family savings to cover his remaining tuition? There's an edit. I'm going to read the edit and then talk about it because my head is in multiple different places. I feel like I should clear up the kitchen remodel. Obviously, appliances alone aren't going to cost me $25,000. The majority of the money are going to be going to necessary infrastructure repairs. I live in an expensive area, and yes, this is what it costs to fix just the necessities. My kitchen will in no way be fancy. I should have been more clear in the original post that I'm not doing remodel for aesthetics. What if the other 2 kids turn out to be gay? And I'm assuming he went to a more expensive school because it was like some fancy Christian college, and he could have gone somewhere that was less expensive. Something about this is not making me go clear cut, you are the asshole. But then something about it is also making me not go clear cut, you aren't the asshole. There's just something a bit uncomfortable. Like, I'm all for kind of quote unquote tricking a bigot and using their money, but at what actual cost? Because money isn't everything. And the thing is, like, as a Brit, my perception of student loans and going to college and the cost of that is a bit skewed because I think it's not as expensive here as it is in America, and particularly if he's going to a specifically expensive college. I'm trying to think what I would do as a parent. I mean, firstly, I would be livid at the family members that caused this shittery. I think secondly, I think I'd try my best to help pay it part, like the bare necessities in terms of replacing broken things in the kitchen, and then help using the rest of the money. I think the bit that's not sitting comfortable with me is the line of, like, I've told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt or uncle until he was through with college. The OP has said, I hate that he can't be himself, but it does does almost feel like a, well, I did tell him not to do this kind of vibe. I think that's the bit that's not sitting right. And then it's just a generally unfair situation that the siblings will have it fully paid for, whilst one kid, because he's gay, is in masses of debt. I mean, the number one arsehole here is the grandma, and then second to that is the cousin and the cousin's parents. Like, they are the arseholes. These are accepting parents who are just in a bit of an odd, awkward situation. But mostly I feel really sorry for the son, because now he's like lost family members, or at least a family member that he felt like he could trust and be himself around, and clearly can't, and also is in a really difficult situation with how to pay for his final year of college. However, a lot of kids are left having to go into debt for the entirety of their course. So in one sense, if he wants to stay at college and his family don't have the money, taking out a student loan may be his only option. It's very elaborate. I think I'd say like arsehole to the grandma. There's a couple comments that aren't sitting right with me, but if his parents cannot pay for his final year, they cannot make the grandma pay for it because she is a bigot. There's a little bit in here that has a kind of vibe of,
well, you told them and I said you shouldn't, so you're gonna have to deal with that.
So I wouldn't go full-blown arsehole. Am I sitting on the fence? Slightly. You're the arsehole, not because you can't afford it and letting your adult son figure it out, but for saying it was his fault he lost the money. In this entire post, you were more angry and disappointed in your son instead of your bigot parents. You were more angry at your child than at the little tattletale who vomited homophobia at the first chance they got. Trying to hide yourself is so effing hard, and you expected your son to not have any public relationships for years and years. You say, I hate that he has to hide himself, but the moment he tripped up, you said, well, sucks to be you, now F off. You're not as accepting as you seem. This kind of encapsulates some of the things I think I was feeling and trying to explain, but in a significantly harsher way than I would say it. I wouldn't say the bit as like, you're not as accepting as you seem. I think it came from a place of not recognizing how hard it is to be told to hide yourself. And then when you have that like glimmer of not needing to, and it being thrown back in your face, and you not just having family and trust, but also financial support ripped out from under you. And what happens is your parents turn around and go, well, we're remodeling our kitchen, so we can't pay for your tuition. And really, you shouldn't have told them, so you kind of brought this upon yourself. I can see this. I have similar thoughts, but not quite as strong. Deal with the consequences for being gay. The son should face consequences for being gay. He lost his education for being gay. He lost his grandparents for being gay. He lost trust in his own family for being gay. He may face extreme prejudice and death threats for being gay, but sure, let him face his consequences for not working harder to hide that gayness. Am I right, OP? I mean, the kid has been hiding it since he was 14. No boyfriends, no social media, no pride, no rainbows, no dances, no prom, no dates, no public displays of affection like hand-holding, and then asking the entire family to lie for years and years and years. But yeah, consequences. That kid should have tried harder, hey? Okay, that one I agree with. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Yes. I see that. Not the arsehole mostly. I don't think paying for your kid's higher education is an obligation. It's nice if parents are wealthy enough to do so, but he's an adult now. It's kind of like buying them a car. Totally your prerogative to spend your money however you want. The idea that parents can have anything for themselves even when their kids are grown is crazy to me. Parents can't have anything for themselves even when their kids are grown. Someone was willing to foot his bill, that changed, now he needs to pay for it himself. It happens. That said, what he does deserve from you is support and feeling like you're on his side. That costs you nothing, so maybe it's not the time to point out how he should have done something differently, but rather the time to help him work through his options and his feelings. I also agree with this, but I don't know, yeah, not the arsehole mostly. I guess for the situation, not the arsehole, for not being able to pay and saying that the money side of things is something that he'll need to take a loan out for now that the grandma is not paying. Not the arsehole, because you can't just magic up money if you don't have it. But there did seem to be like
oh, I told him he shouldn't tell. He's gonna have to deal with the consequences now.
That feels a little not understanding the bigotry that's caused those consequences. It's not like he's done anything wrong. So I can see how, as the kid, that could be interpreted as being told that you are wrong for being yourself. Interesting. Am I the arsehole, or are we the arseholes? Husband and I became civil partners in January and are getting married in August. Is that meant to say H's or his? His family have just found out and are calling us arseholes for going through with a pointless exercise of marriage. I already feel like I want to say not the arseholes. A civil partnership and getting married are not the same thing. They can have an overlap in the legal protections, but they're not identical in what they offer. Okay, to facilitate my application for UK citizenship, we were advised that being married or in a civil partnership would help the process. So we went through a civil partnership process in January. This gave us an 8-month start on being married. Okay, so I assume they already had their wedding booked, but they decided to bring forward the legal part of the wedding to help progress a citizenship application faster. They were already getting married. Why not? We were getting married in the summer, and during a visit from my husband's sister last week, she found out, not 100% 100% sure how that we'd already got a civil partnership. His parents were told and they, as expected, reacted badly. Why? They've called all our family to tell them that the wedding is a sham and that it is cancelled because we are already married. I have so many feelings about this. We have now contacted everyone by email and phone to inform them that the wedding is still proceeding as planned, as we are getting married, not a civil partnership, in August, and that his parents are no longer invited. We've told everyone that his parents are no longer invited as they don't want it to happen anyway. Are we being arseholes by A, having a wedding when we're already in a civil partnership? No. And B, uninviting his parents from the wedding publicly. Specifically publicly, I mean, it makes it easier. If it's close family members like parents and stuff, it makes it easier to just say not going to be at the wedding, because otherwise your wedding is going to get turned into a barrage of questions over where is somebody's parents. So that's fine. Uninviting them because they called your wedding a sham, well, they clearly didn't want to be there anyway, so no, not the arsehole for uninviting them. And arseholes by having a wedding when you're already in a civil partnership, again, no. Do you know how many people legally get married on a different day to their wedding? Like, if you have a celebrant wedding, you're not going to be legally married by that celebrant. You need to do it at a different occasion. I know so many people who have done that, and it does not at all detract from the emotions and the loveliness and the specialness of the wedding day. It's called Wedmin. So the legal bit is really the boring bit, right? And I say boring, like it's not for everybody, but that's the bit that is the kind of legal commitment that you can do with as few people as possible. You can do it in a really low-key way. The wedding overall as a day is so much more than that legal bit. It's like bringing families together. It's celebrating your love. It's celebrating you as a couple. It's having that day that is yours as a couple. Does not need to include a legal bit. So the fact that they have a civil partnership but they're not legally married, and so the wedding is still going to be legal in terms of their marriage, I don't know why this family member's having an issue with it. My head immediately goes to homophobia and them thinking,
Oh, well, you have a civil partnership. That's good enough for you. Just keep that. Why do you have to have a wedding now?
why would you not want the opportunity to like celebrate your kids' relationship and their love and their happiness in life? Who gives a shit if they've already done some other legal piece of paperwork? I don't understand. This is really baffling to me why this person's parents behaved in that way. And all my head can think of is homophobia, and they were just looking for any excuse to get out of this wedding without seeming like arseholes, and this was the perfect one. And in terms of marriages versus civil partnerships, I'm just going to Google the UK specifically.
A few moments later.
So some differences that are kind of more legal in nature and not just down to like ceremony and style of the event. So to end a marriage, you go through divorce, and to end a civil partnership, you go through dissolution. So there's different ways to legally part ways if you split up. There is more international recognition for marriage versus civil partnership. I mean, there's a lot of the same legal protections. There are some differences, but at the end of the day, they're different legal entities and they do have their differences. But I will go back to the same point. Even if they had been legally married 8 months before the wedding, they can still have a wedding. They could have a celebrant wedding. It's so dumb that these people are like,
Oh, the wedding's a sham because they have a civil partnership.
no, it is not. You are just silly. So not the arsehole on this one. Wow, I'm very passionate about that. Not the arsehole. Civil partnerships and weddings are completely separate legal entities, although similar in legal rights and protections here in the UK. Do what you and your partner want. There we go. Not the arsehole. All weddings in my country are shams by this standard. The only thing that's official is signing papers at the city hall. Everything else is for show. So does this mean people renewing their vows is a sham? People who remarry their spouse? Technically, a civil part is different to a marriage, although a lot of places now treat them the same. If you want to have a wedding, then do a vow renewal every few years to properly piss off his family. It is ridiculous that parents would have a problem with this. It just reeks of poorly covered up homophobia to me. It's just them going,
Oh my god, we wanted to get out of this wedding. Oh, they're already legally tied together? Why are they having a wedding in the first place then? Let's leave. We're not going. It's a sham. They shouldn't be doing this.
bigots are exhausting. Oh my god. People like this are exhausting. Just in case they're not bigots and they're just very, 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 very silly. Anyway, did you like this episode of LGBTQ plus Am I the Arsehole stories? Go leave your opinions down below on who you thought was an arsehole, who you thought wasn't, whether you're on the fence with some of them. I want to hear your opinions. Let me know who the arsehole was out of me or the seagull who stole my ice cream. We all know what the right answer is. And do go click that link to show some love to Squarespace. I want to say thank you to my patrons, and you can see some of the names up the screen here. And if you do want to support me over on Patreon, it is a massive, massive help, but there is no pressure if you too want to have your name at the end of every video or shout it out, like these names: Night Soul, Sugar Joe, Jill B, Elden K, Nesta, The Third Hatman, Jaden Cricket, Max Makes Mods, River Shampoo Shopping Mall, Riley Loves Rory, Chloe, Ioana Balash, TNS Mum, Sally Drew, Randy, Albar, Marv Mallow, Rachel Raptor, Jesse Entwistle, and Gosco. Thank you so much. Then go click the link to check out my Patreon, but again, no pressure. Think about liking and subscribing. If I'm going to say no, about you do what you want. Do what you want. I'm just giving you suggestions. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye. My hair is awful today. Oh my god, what the hell is going on?